As President Donald Trump continues to get closer to the end of his presidency, the New York investigation into the Trump Organization is also getting close. It's getting close to wrapping up, at least according to reports. So now, according to the Washington Post and their sources, it appears the investigation from the Southern District of New York, this is Cyrus Vance Jr., his investigation, is just about done, but they just need one more thing. Now, what is that one more thing? Well, reporters Shana Jacobs and Jonathan O'Connell explain. Now, they say that Vance is engaged in a long-running legal battle to obtain 8 years of Donald Trump's tax records and other financial information from the president's accounting firm, Mazars USA. Those records are considered to be the final piece in what is already a well-developed investigation. Now, the implication here is, of course, that Cy Vance Jr. has the bulk of the case wrapped up, and he just wants those tax records in order to, prove whatever he's trying to do. Okay? So now, that last piece of evidence could possibly prove the case of some sort of financial crime, right? So hush money payments, for example, could be even money laundering, secret, again, those payoffs, right? Tax fraud. We're not really sure what's going to be in there. Again, it was originally supposed to be, from what we know, the hush-hush payments from like Stormy Daniels, or to Stormy Daniels, okay? But then has since apparently expanded, okay? But we don't know, but apparently what we do know is those tax records are the key, okay? So now that has Donald Trump flailing, all right? And so, again, we know that so far Trump has tried in several occasions to go to the Supreme Court, first arguing for immunity from the New York investigation as president to block Vance from getting the tax returns. And now he's going back to try to argue that the subpoenas for his records is unjust. Now, most experts are saying, well, that's not a good argument. Oh, you can't go after my records because it's unjust. Okay, and? That's your argument? Well, that's not a good legal argument. All right? So, if it fails, if that argument fails, and it's likely to, well, then Vance is going to get the tax returns. And it's going to happen, of course, probably after he leaves office. That said, there is some caveats, possible caveats, I should say. Alternates Cody Fenwick did say that the source might not be 100% correct, because again, you've got to vet your sources, and just because a source says it doesn't necessarily mean that's exactly what's going to happen. All right. And also says that Vance could be overconfident in his case against Donald Trump. And he gives the example of Vance unsuccessfully going after Paul Manafort. But see, here's the thing. In my opinion, Manafort's a small fish. Donald Trump's the big one. If you're going to come for Trump, well, you better not miss. Because that would be the end of your career. That would be a complete and utter disaster. And look, I think Democrats should have learned this when they botched Trump's impeachment. I think the case could have been stronger against Donald Trump. Instead, it and the Mueller report were pretty narrow, kind of weak sauce. Didn't go after his finances at all, those financial connections to, Ukraine or possibly, Russia. But then again, maybe if they had brought a better case, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that the Senate would have convicted anyway. It's very possible that there's nothing that Donald Trump could do that would have made the Senate Republicans turn against him. And maybe Pelosi knew that. Maybe that's why she didn't go hard. I don't know. But moving on, right? The Post also notes that there's a possibility that Trump may escape charges, but his business might not. So the Trump Organization could end up getting legal charges against it. So now I'm not sure what that will lead to. But I mean, well, let's get into what the Post says, okay? They say to bring criminal charges, the district attorney must be able to prove that there was an intent to break the law, which probably would require the testimony of an insider witness. So that's kind of a high bar. You have to prove intent, right? Which is why Donald Trump could escape charges. But the fact that that was still done, that it was still a crime, could be borne out by his businesses. And so to that end, Vance's team has been talking to people at Deutsche Bank. So Deutsche Bank has been in business with the Trumps for quite a long time. And so if anybody would know the dirty details about Trump's finances, the Trump organization's finances, it might be people at Deutsche Bank. So that's interesting. And in fact, according to the New York Times, as a result of some of these interviews and the expansion of the case, prosecutors have issued new subpoenas and met with witnesses at a steady pace, according to people familiar with the process. So now, in that situation, if Trump's business gets charged, well, that could be the death knell for his business. I mean, he's not doing well. His businesses are not doing well. They're hemorrhaging money. The only way that his business empire has been able to stay afloat is because of the copious amounts of taxpayer money that the Trumps have put into it. By, of course, forcing the taxpayer through, like, staying at his own hotels, going to Mar-a-Lago, paying for Secret Service to stay there, through taxpayer money, which goes, ironically, back into his pocket, holding events at his own hotels, things like that, or at least trying to. That's the only reason that they've been making money. And pretty soon, Trump's got $500 million in loans that are about to come due that he has no way of paying. So, do I see bankruptcy? Do I smell bankruptcy in the future? Oh yeah. Oh, it has to. And so that actually, I think, to be honest, in my opinion, seeing Donald Trump not just go bankrupt, because he's gone bankrupt like 6 times. And every time he's been able to, use his name, leverage his name to get back into, and of course have people loan him money, all these banks. Now nobody's going to lend him money. I mean, the last people that he borrowed money from were the Russians. That's the only people that would lend him money. Because the banks here won't touch him. Deutsche Bank, same thing. I don't think he's got anybody left that he could take money from. And so that leads to a very interesting outcome, and one that I'd actually like to see. I'd like to see Donald Trump go broke. Not just like bankrupt as in, oh, I filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and then I get to keep money. And then I get to liquefy my assets and still continue to live like a king. No. No, I want to see this guy wiped out completely. Him and his family. Everything. Ivanka, wiped out. All of them wiped out. No money at all. Broke. No Trump Tower. No multi-million-dollar houses. No income. No money in the bank. I want to see this guy poor. I'm talking poverty. Now, I normally don't wish poverty on anybody, because poverty, to me, is a form of violence. Okay? But I think that for him losing all of his money would be a fitting punishment. To have him live out his days as the thing that he despises most, a poor person, would just be the most fitting punishment that I could ever see. More so than jail, right? Just to see him broke and humbled, that would be the best thing. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.